Good morning and welcome to Equity Story Monday, the 10th of July. Fresh new week. Hopefully it'll be better than last week because it wasn't great. I'm on my own today. So what we're going to talk about is look at some announcements. We're going to go through what's ahead economically, some of the possible big risk events coming up. And let's see what else we can actually find for today. We'll have a look at Einstein's. Before we start, I've got the Equity Story disclaimer in front of you, so please have a look at that. And of course, as usual, we just talk about just the fundamentals and technicals of every stock that we look at. So it is general advice only. All right, so I'm going to switch screens so you guys can have a look exactly what I'm looking at screen-wise. So the first thing we'll do is go into just to see actually what happened last night. So when I say last night, on Friday, from the US and so on. So you just go back to the economic calendar, and we had the markets were a little bit down on Friday. NASDAQ, the Dow, it was okay, but more numbers came through, more ideas came through that we're going to have interest rate rises. Plus, of course, the nervousness of the markets coming to the fore, where we've got the CPI numbers this week, and this is what I wanted to show you, right? We've got the CPI numbers coming through for the US on Wednesday, inflation rate, core inflation, and so on. So I've been ready to see exactly what the economists expect. They expect falls. So they expect that, for example, the headline stuff dropped down for 4 to about 3.1. I think I saw some. Actually, you can actually see it yourself, right? To 3.1, 3.2 from 4. And you've got the core inflation dropped down from 5.3 to about 5, right? So it should be heading down. On the flip side, we've seen some really strong employment numbers, unemployment numbers. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how those numbers are and what the commentary will be after that. But it is a risk event, so we've got to be wary of that. If we're going to be trading starting off today, possibly if you're seeing a profit by Wednesday, maybe you want to take it off the table, right, so to speak, if there is one there for you, technically speaking. So this is what's going to happen this week. Also, we're just looking to see if there's any Australian news. We've got net business confidence coming through on the Tuesday. We've also got, I think, RBA low speech on the Wednesday as well. And going down to Friday, we've got a little bit more news coming through with Fed Wallace speech as well on the Friday and so on. So it's going to be fairly busy. And pivotal, maybe, when you can say that, especially in the US. So we're going to be watching that. So if I just quickly go through the commodities to see if there's anything that's sort of sticking out at me right now, and looking at uranium, not much happening with the same number that we saw on Friday. So nothing's going on there. Just going through the gold, fairly steady. Nothing's really, again, happening there either. Copper steady, iron ore steady. It looks like it's pretty much steady as she goes for commodities. So nothing exciting in there to really get your teeth into and start trading. Even lithium, the hot, I suppose, commodity right now, not much going on there to start the week. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to see if I can flip it through now to the actual announcements that we'll go through. So once again, just bear with me for 1 sec. I'm going to flip that through here, and you should be able to see some charts. Now, I'm going to start with NXT, which is really a story we are following. It is in the funds, right? It's the only one really that's problematic for us in the fund. When I say problematic, we're down on it. That's the only problematic when I'm talking about it. It's still holding the trend right there. It has been on the way down from about 160 odd to 138.5. It's actually down today about 4%, right? And then, but announcements really, it looks positive in a way. So I'm just going to go through it so guys can see for yourself what I mean. So we've got financial results for FY20 expected to feature record revenues of 102 to 103 million. That's 118 to 120% increase, right? From 46.8. So you think to yourself, big box tick. Wow, yeah, it's going great, right? Then we go to record EBITDA of between 16.5 to 17 million when expensing licensed classrooms. Now, and again, they're talking about a huge jump from 3.6 million at FY22. So again, massive improvement there. Strong operating cash flows of about 25 million, 40% higher from 17 million, right? So that's obviously looking pretty good as well. And closing cash balance also moving up. So the four things they presented to us looks very positive. Now, I think where potentially it's missing something there, where the market's sort of going down 4%, and I think it will bounce. It's got to, because I can't see the logic behind the falls, right, in a way, but possibly there's no profitability is in the bottom line. They're not showing that, where previous announcement they did talk about that, right? So potentially there's something, maybe there's a disconnect between the two, and they're talking about this expensing as well of the classrooms, which possibly is quite confusing to investors, especially from previous. Well, the previous announcement was a little bit different. They're talking about the classroom numbers and so on. So maybe a bit of confusion going on. Anyway, we'll see how it goes for the rest of the week. I know there's a couple of brokers out there have got about $1.90 price targets on them. So at $1.30, $1.90, they're obviously quite bullish on them. We'll see how they react to this and come through over the next couple of days. But no panic yet, and it's still holding trend right at this stage. So let's just see how it ends, and then we can make a decision on this. So yeah, look, interesting, weird, but I think overall pretty good. However, we still probably maybe need to see a little bit more bottom line info, which is the one that's actually missing out of this. We got the EBITDA stuff, we've got the revenues, but where's the profitability? So that's the key here. We'll see how it goes. Next one, let's go through M3M. So this is a stock that was really going quite well from, I suppose, when you look at it last week, when we're looking at the trades, looking at some charts, it was a very high risk, looking at a El Capitan prospect you can see here, and they come out with speculative gold mineralization confirmed at Jujina. I hope I said it right. So let's have a look at this announcement, right? Is it any good? Is probably my question. And when you come up with 10 meters at 241, you can see why the market maybe is getting a little bit excited, where it's maybe looking at something that's really might set the investors alight. But for me, again, I need to see more than just one hole and trying to sell it to me as a great discovery or a great a lot of essay results. I just need to see more. It's simple as that. You can always get lucky and get one hole with a bit of nugget gold, like they can see here, right? And go, wow, well, this is unbelievable. So for me, it's way too early. And you can see, right, this hole here, 164, they break it up into the actual gold grade. So this is, like you said, you got that 10 meters made up of that 2,300 is that's the big nugget that they actually found in there. So look, it's interesting for sure, but we need to see more for 100% before I actually make a decision whether this is actually good or not. All right. Anyway, so we're going to see that more. If you're in this, I suppose, technically speaking, you probably want to set your stop loss around probably 19.5, 19 maybe. You don't want to just you want to protect your profits at the end of the day, especially in a market that's really difficult, all in all. So for me, yep, trade it, but just be wary. These things can turn around. We've seen so many charts, results-wise or not, go up and then sell on, the results coming through, or sell on news, and it starts again. It comes back to the trend, because the trend line is so far away. And even if I put it on a daily, right, I think it's going to be quite above that. So you can see there. So like I said, I think for me, probably 19.5 would be my sort of get out clause, protect my profits and move on to something else. But I would not be buying on these results. That's probably one thing I'd probably say. I just want to see more. All right. Anyway, let's go to the next ones. It's actually 19.5, and the moment that was actually at 20, 22. But anyway, we'll see how it finishes. Maybe 19, 19, somewhere there, right? Anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is the end of the week, by the way, not a daily. So let's have a look at the next one. EMR. This is a gold producer, Okphao in Cambodia. And this is an old Oz Minerals assets. I remember back in the days, right? But it's going great. Look at the chart. It's fantastic, right? So I'm always interested in good looking charts, and I was trying to find the story behind it. So Okphao is known, they're producing about 100,000 ounces per annum. I got a look at the numbers. They came up with that AISC, which is the all-in sustaining costs, which are about $700 to $800 US. When you extrapolated the Australian dollars, it's actually very, very good, right? I mean, of course, you can say Cambodia, is it a safe jurisdiction? Probably not. Is it sustainable? Probably yes. As long as they don't fall into that Thailand. Remember the old Kingsgate, where Cambodia just turns around and does something that's left field, and there's the troubles ahead. But anyway, for now, you're trading. This is a very, very good story. If you just look at Ocval on its own, if it was in Australia, this would be fantastic because it's a high grade gold, copper, and it's producing quite nicely at the moment. So right now, you'll probably be trading this, I'd say, because look at the chart. It's looking beautifully. It's swinging beautifully as well from $2 to $2.23. But again, would I be buying on this announcement? I'm always a little bit wary of buying on announcement, especially on gold stuff, especially with gold is actually not trending at the moment. So if you're in this, because maybe you bought it on one of these breakouts here, then yeah, you possibly can go, okay, I'm still holding. I've got to stop just below 2. Otherwise, you just, maybe just wait till the end of the week and see how it settles down. All right, let's move on to the next one, DTC. So I want to have a look at some of these small tech stocks because they are talking that they're, reducing their costs, turning cash flow positive, all those things that investors want to hear. And some of these are turning, 360 is probably the best point in case, the biggest, I suppose, one that's saying that. I mean, SDA is another one, but it's going to take a bit of more time. But DTC is another little one that's talking about that. So I just wanted to see where the charts are. And you can see it is starting to recover. Does it need to do more? Absolutely it does, right? So I'm not interested yet, but I'm interested to put it on my watch list to see if there might be trades somewhere down the line, right? We're always looking for trades. We're not looking maybe for everything has to be a long-term investment, whatever, right? We're looking for trades, the easy money. So this is not a long-term investment. Right now, at best, would be a trade, but we got to wait till the week so it settles. Because if it gets through those trend lines, yeah, it's starting to look positive. Technically speaking, we're looking at a story that potentially we can take it maybe from 12 cents to 15 cents to back to 20 cents, like we've had it before, not that far away, 12 months ago, right? So there is that possibility, especially if they can keep improving, right? Momentum is a funny thing and it can change very quickly. So we gotta keep on tabs on these things. Let's move on to the next one, ALG, right? So Ardent Leisure, we want to see how, first of all, the travel industry is going, and a big jump today, 6 cents up to 13.48. Remember, this guy's sold Main Event in the US. So they've got the theme parks in Australia here. I think Waterworld and Dreamworld is the two that they've actually owned. They've actually come up with a fairly positive announcement. The only negative out of that for me was that things have slowing down. So again, when you look at some of the commentary coming through, wondering where we are with leisure, travel, people spending, it looks like the commentary saying is that discretionary spending is slowing down. So we got to take that on board. And we say to ourselves, okay, well, it is the interest rates obviously rising. People are closing their wallets. And potentially, if that continues, that trend continues with interest rates rising, or at least staying where they are, you're probably going to see, not a great start to next year financial year or this financial year that we're talking about, right, which is just started. So from that, I suppose, point of view, I certainly would not be buying this. I'd be going, maybe taking my profit. If I bought it for some reason, and the thing is, we wouldn't, because obviously we don't trade like this, right? I'd probably take my profits because there's strong resistance around here. You can see a couple of lines here where it's a big barrier to overcome. And for me, I'd be probably taking a profit and moving on to something else because it's not trending. It's not the best story in the world, and probably not even the best leisure story in Australia. So you'd be, if you're for some reason, maybe if you hold it down from there and you're underwater, this is your chance to probably technically take the money and come back at another time when it's actually above trend and when the thing's actually improving here economically wise, and everyone's opening the wallets again, right? That's what we'll probably be looking at the moment. The last one I want to have a quick look at is PMT. So let's have a look at that one and see where we are. Interesting here because they've gone into trading hold. There's 3 things they want to talk about. Some SO results, which they said they're going to release. Also, they talked about, there was an article on AFR that, supposedly there's someone was running the ruler over them. And thirdly, short report, right? It's not great. That's why it's probably come down to that 163. Shorters are looking at this story and saying, hang on a second, this is too good to be where it's at. We're gonna probably hit it. And there was talk on the Twitter sphere and some other social media that's there's a bit of short attack going on. So it'd be interesting to see what the response is going to be like, whether they can obviously defend themselves. But overall, I think the results are actually pretty strong. It's maybe what the company's done, and I think what I've read about the short attack, they're overstating things. So they're saying it's going to be this big, the grades are going to be that big, right? All these sort of things where maybe that's what the shorters are looking for, saying it's not going to be as good as people expect and what the management talking about. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to come up with, right? Whether they're going to, say something to the effect that, no, we're sticking to our guns. This is going to be, what we're talking about. Or are they going to relent slightly and say, okay, well, we are going to come up with something, but just going to wait and see how we go. So look, I'm going to see and give it a bit of benefit of the doubt and see the announcement and see where it takes us from there. But it's interesting how it's got smashed. It's coming back. We didn't know why it was happening. So obviously the short report is working quite well as per usual. All right, let's have a look on this left-hand side now. I want to see if there's anything else that's actually trending right now, or at least looking good, because I'm going to have a look at for you guys Einstein's in a sec to see if there's anything there that's catching my eye. And I've got a big list, like I said. Let's have a look at Serco, because that's one that's been doing quite well and it's just above those. See those strong resistances? Like I said, normally it's resistances. You want to probably sell it here and buy it back over there, right? Technically speaking. Or at least if you didn't buy it, wait until it gets over that line and has a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks in there. So it's getting there. Not quite there yet, but not quite for me. Let's have a look at this one, AUB, which we're following. That's looking okay. Let's see if there's anything else that's really sticking out. Costco's bounced back nicely, which is nice. And I think they've had it as his part of his Einstein. So let's have a look how that's going as a bullish. Yep, so that's looking quite good. We're going to go further lower to see is there anything else on there that might look all right. Life 60, one of my favorites at the moment on the trade, on that particular breakout there. So last week, yeah, we had a pretty difficult week last week. Still okay, you'll be holding that. So a green week to start with right now. I'm okay with that. And let's see, there's one more to have a look at. Maybe look at 0 to see how that's faring, and then we'll switch back. So again, very similar chart to 360. All right, let's switch back, and I'm going to look at this Einstein's, right? So we had three, I think, only three what do we call it, buy signals, right? So they were BGL. Let's have a look how that started. So just bear with me. I'm going to put them in while you guys are looking at that, and I'll tell you how they're going. So that's a positive start, 2.5% up. So BGL is working so far as a buy signal. LIN, let's have a look at that one. Remember, we're only like half an hour into the actual start of the day, right? So not bad. Lindian up 15% this morning on capital raising, by the looks of things. Is that right? 6 trading hold. No, that's actually stuck in a trading hold from last week. So it hasn't moved at all. So it'd be interesting to see what they say, right? They're trading hold capital raising. So there you go. You're stuck in this particular LIN because of the capital raising. I mean, it looks good. Let's hope that capital raising is a decent price, probably around that somewhere there. I reckon 36, maybe a little bit lower mark. And last one was MEI. There's the dangers of investing, right? Especially on small stocks when they going up and down like a yo-yo. If there's a chance that the management pushes the button to raise cash, they will. And let's have a look at 3% up for Meteoric MEI. So two are working quite well, buy signals. One is in a trading hold. We'll see how it goes. Let's have a look at the bullish for this week. And like I said, COS is working this week. CHL was really one of my favorite charts last week. Let's have a look how that's going. And let's hope it is up. It's the steady not movement there. Another great looking chart, LAU from last week. So we're gonna be selective with some of these. We have a look at some of my favorite charts from last week and favorite companies, of course. We own LAU in our fund. So this one, steady, not moving at all. LAU. Let's go to BHD, another one of my favorite charts from last week. Let's see how that's going. And that one's up. Okay, so that's one up for a bullish signal. And again, see that resistance there? That was my only issue when I was looking at this chart last week, was the resistance coming up at here. You can see 94 cents. It's at 89.5, so almost 90 cents, almost trying to creep up onto that. That's going to be the difficult part. But, you know, you still can eke out a few cents profit out of this. No problems. You know, it doesn't have to be always 20%. It doesn't have to be 30%. It can be 5%. It's still all adds up. Let's have a look at the CSR. Next one. What's happening with that? So that was 636. Yeah, that's so what was it? 535. So right today it's not doing anything at all. It's actually quite steady. APE is another one. Let's have a look at that. So a fairly steady start to these bullish stocks, which is okay by me. You know, like I see, I want to see a good start, positive start to the XJO, and I'll be happy. So 1.5%, good positive start for APE. You can see nice movement. So we want to look at BIO. Actually, you know, let's have a look at BIO because look at that green candle. I'm always intrigued to see whether they can follow up such a big day, big week last week. So let's have a look at this BIO. Are they up? No, down 5%. So you can see sometimes some of these smaller stocks, when they have a big green candle, they can have a slight pullback, right? Next week, because there's some profit taking. I mean, look at that. That's from 8 cents to what, 10.5 cents. Not surprising. So anyway, if you got in this last week, you're probably still holding. There's nothing problem with. And the thing is, you got to wait till the end of the week. Anyway, DSE, okay, one of our favorites, of course, biggest holding in our portfolio. Let's have a look how the SE is going. And it was a fairly, I suppose, dented finish last week, but it's actually, let's have a look this week. What's it going this week? It's actually up, I think, this week, slightly. It was up to 30. So no, I'm lying. So it was up to 33.5, back to 32. So it's a good start, but it is steady right now. So that's okay. I'm happy with that. DUR, another one, a good one. Let's have a look at that one. What's going on? Some of these really bullish stocks. I gotta love them, right? So this one's steady again. And you know, so many. Okay, AFM. Let's look at that one. Is that one up? So I suppose a wait and see start to the week for some of these stocks. Up only 1% IFM. So again, fairly steady. I want to look at EVO. Let's look at 360. What's going on there? And this one's up 0.5%. So yeah, fairly steady for everything pretty much. DTL, let's look at that one. And CLX, a really good story. So let's have a look at those two. So again, if you bought any of these, I think it's not bad. You know, you've got a time to set yourself this week if you're buying some of these stories, because some of the bullish stories are actually quite nice. And maybe last week, just giving you an opportunity, right, to pick some of these nice stories fairly good at a decent price, close to the trend lines. So DTL is up slightly 0.5% as well. So again, you've got time to set yourself, because if we're having a good week this week, you're going to probably make some money, right, on some of these stories, because they are very, very good stories. I mean, that's the reason why we buy some of these things. Let's look at CLX. And, you know, like I said, in the middle of the week, we've got a big risk event. So that's the only big hurdle we got to overcome. But if you get to the Wednesday and you're making some profits, you know, maybe there's your opportunity to just take some money off the table. So CLX, let's have a look what's happened today. And not much, I don't think. So that's very steady. Nothing's going on there. And that's it for the Einstein. So overall, steady start. I think XJO, if I'm just going to have a quick look at XJO for us, it's up 27 points. So that, like I said, it's a good positive start. Let's say it keeps rolling for the next couple of days, at least to Wednesday, where we can make a decision whether we maybe take some profits or not, or whether we stay in there and hope for the best out of the US. Because, you know, like I said, it could affect our markets. Other than that, thanks very much, guys, for listening. Have a great week. And again, I'll see you tomorrow at night for Ask the Analyst, or I will see you every day on a Trade Watch. Cheers.